In the midst of the summer, we feel so far away from hockey. There's nothing more hockey than the Hockey Hall of Fame. On today's edition of Locked On NHL, what active players are bound for Toronto? Coming up next.
You're Locked On NHL, your daily podcast on the National Hockey League. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to this Thursday edition of Locked On NHL. I am Nick Zararis, the host of Locked On Oilers. That is my good friend and the co-host of Locked On Penguins, Hunter Hodies, and we want to thank everyone that is making Locked On NHL their first listen of the day. Locked On NHL is a part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where we've got your team covered every day. And today's show is brought to you by our friends over at Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Get to a game or show today. So, Hunter, my friend, hockey feels so far away. We are almost as far away from hockey as you're going to get in terms of the calendar, where we're still almost 2 months away from preseason hockey games starting. So with that in mind, we're going to return to one of my favorite cycles. I love this conversation. I try and do this once a summer on all of the varying content I do, because I think it's really interesting to dissect hockey from this perspective. And we're going to be talking about it through the lens of what active players in the NHL today are Hall of Famers already. In the case of some, that is a fair assessment. Someone like Sergei Bobrovsky, I think, has solidified himself. There are guys like, say, Kirill Kaprizov, where it looks good right now, but we probably need a little bit more before we say he's certainly bound for there. And then we'll talk some silly ones, like has Macklin Celebrini done enough as a 19-year-old to be considered on a Hall of Fame trajectory already? So, Hunter, my friend, for organizational purposes, we are going to go in alphabetical order. That leads us off with the Anaheim Ducks, who do not have an honorable mention. I would like to talk about someone on this team, but right now they are 2 years away probably from being a year away. There aren't even really honorable mentions here. So I think for brevity's sake, we can just keep it moving if you're in agreement.
Yeah, I'm in agreement. I don't think we really need to waste too much time on that. They say they want to make the playoffs this year. I'm a bit more skeptical about that. But yeah, I don't think there's even an honorable mention there, so we can just keep moving on. At least
Next
for right
up, I have the Boston Bruins because we're going alphabetically. I think David Pastrnak is 100% on a Hall of Fame trajectory. You look at the numbers he's put up since getting in the league. He's well on his way to the benchmark stats. He's already at 390 goals. He's 29 years old. He should hit that 500 goal mark in a couple seasons. On top of that, he's over a point per game player. He's well on pace to be over 1,000 points. If he finishes with 500 goals, 1,100, 1,200 points, plus maybe a Rocket Richard in there somewhere along the way as well, possibly in addition to the one he already has, I think that's a Hall of Fame lock, basically.
And if he's able to win a Stanley Cup at some point, Nick, I mean, that just also puts it right over the top. 100% for him. Charlie McAvoy, I think he's kind of in the we'll see category, in my opinion, Nick. He's definitely one of the best defensemen in the league. When healthy, he is fantastic. But I still think we need to see a lot more before it's like, okay, like that's going to be a surefire Hall of Famer. It's very much in the we'll see category.
The one thing a lot of these guys will have, and I'll make this point once so I don't have to make it every time. One thing that's going to help a lot of these guys is that we're going back to the Olympics and they can get gold medals on their resumes regardless of who. Because for someone like McAvoy, like you're in direct contention with Hughes, Makar, Fox, Dahlin, Heiskanen, Harley, Werenski, Morrissey, Bouchard for Norris trophies. It's going to be really hard to win a Norris trophy in the next 5 to 10 years because of the abundance of talent at that position. So having the chance to win a gold medal, especially as someone like McAvoy, who doesn't put up a ton of counting stats, that's going to go a long way. Next up, we mentioned his name a minute ago, Rasmus Dahlin, the Buffalo Sabres. I think Dahlin is in reasonable shape. I think he probably needs a Norris or two. I think realistically, he probably needs to do something as far as breaking the playoff drought. And then we could talk about something for Dahlin. But Tage Thompson, a little bit too much of a late bloomer, I think, to have a real chance to hit the benchmark stats. But I do think Thompson's worth mentioning.
Yeah, he's worth mentioning. I still think the best shot on that team is Rasmus Dahlin. But again, Nick, like they got to return to the playoffs at some point for me to even, really consider this. Again, I think Dahlin is fantastic, one of the best defensemen in the league, but needs the Norris, he needs individual stuff, but he also needs to guide Buffalo out of this drought. Like we all know how crazy it's been for the Sabres the last decade plus, but you got to get in the playoffs. So we'll see, but right now I'm a little bit skeptical.
Agreed with you for sure there as far as those two go. The Flames, I don't have anybody. Like, I guess we could be nice and say Kadri's had a nice career, but he's a Hall of Very Good. He's not a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, he's the Hall of Very Good for me. You know, I look up and down this lineup in terms of their forwards, in terms of their defensemen, even the goalies. Yeah, I don't really see any pure Hall of Famers, at least right now, so we can just keep that going. Kind of like the Ducks, kind of.
Yes, for sure. Carolina, I didn't realize how good Sebastian Aho's numbers were. Like, I went up and looked them this morning. Like, yeah, he's in the same draft class as McDavid and Mitch Marner and Jack Eichel, but he's at 631 points. He's 27 years old. He should hit 1,100, 1,200 points. He's going to have some really nice resume stuff, like one of the best players in the history of his franchise if he stays with Carolina his whole career. I think he's in reasonable shape to get there as far as what the counting stats will say. I think he probably needs a team accomplishment or two, but I think he's in good shape as far as his individual stats.
And maybe also potentially more stuff on the global stage, you know,
for sure, for Finland, yeah,
Olympics and all that. What do you think of Jordan Stallnick? Is that a Hall of Very Good to you?
That's a Hall of Very Good. That's the Hurricanes will retire his number. That'll be a cool moment. Slavin, I don't think he'll have the numbers. I think he'll need like an Olympic gold medal and a Norris or something along those lines.
I just don't know if he'll ever win a Norris, just because
he won't put up the stats.
Makar, Quinn Hughes. That's why, Nick, you see the arguments. We should have a trophy for the best defensive defenseman, which
I agree.
I don't really mind too much because Slavin, I think, is the best of those type of defensemen in the league, but it's going to be hard for him to win the Norris purely just because he doesn't produce like some of these other defensemen do.
Completely agreed with you. Next up, the Blackhawks. Nobody. Bedard will check in on in like 3 to 4 years, but for now, that's fine. Next up, Colorado. I have them with 3. I think Makar is having the best start to a career since Bobby Orr. I know Bobby Orr won 6 straight Norrises to start his career, but Makar has been a finalist every single year he's been in the league other than his rookie year where he won the Calder. He won the Conn Smythe when they won the Stanley Cup. He's got the ring. He's got the gold medal from the Four Nations. He'll have a really good chance to win a gold medal with Canada next year. McKinnon, pretty much everything I just said, MVP. He's got the gold medal. He'll represent Canada in the Olympics. He's going to hit all the benchmark stats. And then one I think we may have forgotten, Brent Burns is a Colorado Avalanche defenseman now. And he's somebody who's well within the boundary of what a Hall of Fame defenseman is going to look like going forward, especially if he can win that ever elusive ring with Colorado.
He does have the individual accomplishments at least too. So that very much helps him. I think eventually he's going to get in. I don't think it's going to be first ballot, but I think eventually down the line he is going to get in. Agree with you on McKinnon, agree with you on Makar. Do you think Landeskog is Hall of Very Good, Nick? Or
he's Hall of Very Good. He's a franchise legend, not on NHL. Like maybe if there was something international play, like if Sweden had won a gold medal at some point, we could have a different conversation. But for right now, I don't think Landeskog hits any of the real benchmark stats.
I also know, of course, like he'd been out for a couple of years, so I just wanted to bounce that idea off of you
for sure.
I don't think he was Hall of Fame right now, but he's Hall of Very Good at least.
Yes. The Blue Jackets, I don't think so. Werenski's had one really nice season, but that's really his only elite season. We can check in on Adam Fantilli in a couple of years, like we said for Bedard. For Dallas, Mikko Rantanen, I think, is definitely on the trajectory where he'll get it there. I think Heiskanen is in good shape. I think Harley is in good shape, but they're both still relatively early on in their careers. And then Hintz and Robertson are worth mentioning just for checking in on them because, like, Robertson's got a 40-goal season and he produces on more than a point per game basis in the playoffs. It's just simply really a matter of if any of these guys can win a cup, other than Rantanen, who's got the one from Colorado, and if they can pick up any individual hardware.
I'm still wondering. You know, when it comes to Jamie Benn, he's had one heck of a career. He does have some individual awards, of course, Nick, but is that going to be enough without the cup to get in? I still think if he's able to get a Stanley Cup before he retires, that'll really improve his chances. But I think right now we might have to lump him in with, franchise legend. He'll have his number retired, Hall of Very Good. But I think that could also change if he gets that Stanley Cup. That's just my opinion, though.
For sure. All right, we're going to try and squeeze in one last one, and it's very convenient. Detroit only has one, Patrick Kane. Yeah. He's got the best resume of any active American hockey player. He's got an MVP. He's got the silver medal from the Olympics. He's got 1,500 career points, something ridiculous like that. One of the best players of his era, kind of an annoying person, but the NHL has let far worse people into the Hockey Hall of Fame. So
best American-born player ever right now. Like that's where it is. But I will say, Nick, if Austin Matthews continues on this trajectory, I think he is going to surpass Patrick Kane by the end of his career. But right now, Patrick Kane, by far the best American-born player ever, locked for a Hall of Fame. You look at the individual awards, the cups that he's won with Chicago, it's not even close for me.
Yeah, not even close. Probably the most lock of locks of anybody we talk about today. But we need to take our first break on today's edition of Locked On NHL. When we come back, we'll keep making our way down through the alphabet, and things might get a little contentious in a little bit. Be right back. Have you ever just had the itch to get to a game with your friends or family? Maybe it's game day, and suddenly you realize, I need to be there. That's exactly where Gametime comes in. It is the easiest way to grab last-minute tickets without the stress. With the money you save on tickets, you can splurge on food, drinks, merch, or even invite more people to go to the game with you. Gametime makes it happen. Gametime makes buying tickets fast and simple. Prices on the app actually drop the closer you get to first pitch, and they've got great last-minute deals, clear seat views, and a lowest price guarantee that takes the worry out of buying. Gametime is the official ticketing partner of Locked On MLB, making it easy to browse the app for exciting games. Last week, I went to David Wright's retirement ceremony. That was really cool. My friends and I are currently deliberating if we're going to go to Yankees-Astros in a week or two at the stadium to kind of soak in some of the hate. My personal favorite part of the Gametime ticket experience is the panoramic seat view to know what you're walking into before the game. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off. Download the Gametime app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Thank you to everyone who is hanging out with Hunter and I on this Thursday edition of Locked On NHL as we are making our way through Hall of Fame discourse. So that brings us to Edmonton. Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl are locks. I think I have no reservations about that for either player. I think Draisaitl will have a chance to be the best European-born player ever. I think McDavid will have a chance to be the best player of the 21st century. Whether or not you think he can jump Mario or Wayne, I think that's a little bit more of a personal preference. And then I'd like to give Evan Bouchard an honorable mention. The playoffs numbers in particular are insane. I mean, the only defenseman who averages more playoff points per game for their career so far is Bobby Orr. Anytime you're in the same sentence as Bobby Orr, you're doing a good job.
100%. I think with Bouchard, it's still of a wait and see, at least right now. You have to have at least A, for me, an individual award, or B, the team accomplishment. And we'll get to a certain Penguins defenseman when it comes to that a little bit later on in the show, because I have some thoughts on that. McDavid, 100% a log. Draisaitl, 100% a log. When it comes to McDavid, I still, when in terms of all-time greats, Nick, I don't have him ahead of Sid right now. I know that's the Penguins bias in me coming out, but Sid also has the team accomplishments. He has the individual accomplishments. I think he's a top 5 player of all time. But if McDavid is able to get the team accomplishments at some point later on in his career, he will definitely have an argument to potentially surpass Sid. But as of right now, I just don't think that's the case. But they're still locks, so let's be real here.
Moving along after the Oilers, we get to Florida, who they've played in the Stanley Cup final the last 2 years, and this could take a while, but Bob, yes.
Yes.
Barkov, yes.
Mm-hmm.
I think Reinhart is an honorable mention. He's on pace for 1,000 career points, and he'll have at least probably one more 50-goal season.
Kachuk.
I think Marchand is almost certainly a yes, and I think Kachuk is almost certainly a yes. Kachuk is still on the younger side of this conversation, so he probably needs to accumulate more. But if he continues on his present trajectory, I have no reservations about Kachuk either.
Yeah, I mean, he already has the cups, Nick, and say Team USA wins gold at the Olympics in 2026. I think right there, even if you just keep producing in the NHL and you don't win any more cups, I think right there, he'll just have enough to get in the Hockey Hall of Fame. At least when you look at how the Hall of Fame has put players in throughout its history, I think at that point, even though Kachuk would still be young, I think he would already have enough international success and the cup success. Yeah. Marchand, 100%. He's one of the best players of this era. He just got another Stanley Cup. He has the international success, slam dunk. Bob, that's been a slam dunk, I think, since last year when he won the Cup. He has the Vezina Nick. He now has the Stanley Cup. He's one of the best goalies of this era. No question there. Reinhart, I still think for me, it's a little bit of a we'll see, but again, we'll have to check in on that in the next few years. But Barkov also 1,000,000%. Yes, yeah. I don't really think it's close.
They could call it the Bergeron, Selke, Barkov going forward if they really want to. Next up, we get to the LA Kings. Drew Doughty and Kopitar, yes. I think those are both locks. Corey Perry is a lock. Like, I know we don't think of Corey Perry like that now, but like, he's one of like the 7 guys who has the gold medal in the Olympics, World Cup of Hockey, and World Juniors. He has a Hart Trophy. He has a 50-goal season. He's got the resume. He's got the individual accomplishments. He won the Cup. He's carved out a nice secondary stage of his career as an auxiliary player. I think all 3 of those guys are almost certainly locks.
Yeah, 100%. I think with Perry, he was great this year for the Oilers, especially in the playoffs. I think he was one of their best players, even though he's still very old at this point. But the way that he's been able to produce, despite being, going into his 30s, especially his late 30s, has been tremendous. So he's a lock for me. He has all the success. Kopitar, he has all the success too. One of the best two-way forwards of this era. And then Drew Doughty. Even though I think Doughty has slowed down a little bit, he still has all the success too. So those are 100% locks.
For sure. One of the more decorated ones. Minnesota, Kaprizov just needs more seasons. I don't know where his counting stats are going to end up. He's a late starter, which hurts when you're trying to accumulate stats, but Kaprizov is definitely worth mentioning.
Yeah, 100%. I think we maybe could mention him, but he's still just so young, Nick.
Yeah.
Maybe Matt Boldy, but that's very down the line.
Away,
yeah, very far away. I just figured I'd mention him at least a little bit for right now. Other than that, I don't think Eriksson is worth mentioning, at least right now. Zuccarello has had a really nice career, Nick, but that's at best situation. That's a Hall of very good. He's never going to get in the Hall of Fame. Other than that, there's just not really much I see there. If you want to maybe if you want to put Faber in the same category as Boldy, I wouldn't disagree, but I still think those two are far off from even being considered. Just figured we would mention them.
For sure. Next up, Montreal, very young team, so it's kind of hard to do this. I think Caulfield can end up being a 500-goal guy. He's very early on in his career. He's only in his early 20s, but he's got a reasonable chance to hit 500 goals, which is really one of the benchmark stats as far as making the Hall of Fame. Lane Hudson is worth mentioning. You win the Calder. You put on a really good rookie season, but a long ways to go for a lot of these guys.
Yeah, I mean, you can throw Ivan Demidov in there. Long way to go for him. Nice debut, long way. Nick Suzuki, I also think long way to go for him, even though I think he's going to be a really good player for a long time. So I think with this entire team, especially these players that we just mentioned, it's kind of a wait and see approach.
For sure. Next up, we go to Nashville. Stamkos is getting in on roller skates, to quote Mike Francesa. He's in on roller skates, easy. Roman Josi, same deal. I think one of the best of his era. He's got the Norris. He's got the counting stats. Philip Forsberg's carved out a really nice career for himself. I don't think he's going to get to 500 goals. I don't think he's going to get to 1,000 points, but he'll get his number retired. One of the best players in the history of that team. Really solid NHL career. Saros, I don't know if he's going to have the numbers. That's kind of the thing. It's hard for goalies. If do you think about the goalies who are struggling to get in? It's really tricky, and he's got a lot of work to do to get to some of the key stats.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's one of the best goalies in the league, but I still think that only really takes you so far. But I think I'm in agreement with all the others that you mentioned.
Continuing on, we get to the Devils. I don't have anybody down right now. Hughes could certainly Jack Hughes can get there, but he's got to stay healthy, and they got to win something, whether that's gold medals at the Olympics, whether that's a Stanley Cup. He's got to stay healthy, and they got to win. Heischer, I don't think he's going to have the counting stats, and he's not going to win a Selke because Barkov's in the league at the same time. That's the problem. Bratt is a really good player. I don't think he's ever going to have enough counting stats. I love Dougie Hamilton. He doesn't have the counting stats or the Norris Trophy. Markstrom doesn't have a Vezina, so I think those guys are all out as well. The Islanders, I don't have anyone. Barzal was having a nice start to his career, but he's missed too many games. Like he's missed like almost 2 full seasons worth of games in the last 3 years due to injury. So it's hard for that. The Rangers, I think Panarin is probably going to end up getting in because he's going to have the counting stats because he's aged very well and he hasn't really shown signs of a precipitous drop off. I think Fox and Shesterkin are in reasonable shape, but they're still relatively early on in their careers. I think Fox, if he wins another Norris, if he wins a gold medal, wins a cup, I think Fox will almost certainly get there. And Shesterkin, if he wins a second Vezina, I think he's a lock, basically. I think if you win 2, you're almost certainly in the Hall.
Yeah, I think Shesterkin is on a pretty good trajectory right now. Especially if he gets that second Vezina and maybe he gets a little bit of team accomplishment in there as well, Nick. I think he'll 100% be a lock. Fox, still relatively early on, but also if he gets that gold medal at the Olympics, that's going to go a long way as well, especially if he also gets more individual awards with the Rangers. Panarin, like even before his time with the Rangers, Nick, like everything he did, Columbus and Chicago especially, I think by the end of his career, he'll be a lock. I think of the players on the Rangers right now, he has the best chance of getting in.
Oh, for sure, for sure. All right, we're going to take our second and final break on today's edition of Locked On NHL. When we come back, we're going to talk about Chris Letang, and it might get interesting. Coming up next on today's edition of Locked On NHL. Thank you to everyone who is hanging out on this Thursday edition of Locked On NHL, and we're almost up to the Penguins, which will be interesting. So next up, I have Ottawa. I think Claude Giroux is going to end up in the Hall of Fame. Other than that, I think Brady Tkachuk and Tim Stützle, it's a little early. I think Jake Sanderson, it's early. But those guys are all off to really good starts to their careers.
100%. I think for a lot of these young players, it's too early to tell. Giroux, though, I think at the end of his career, he will have done enough to get in. That's what I'll say on that.
Next up, after them, would be the Philadelphia Flyers. I don't have anyone down. Michkov had a nice rookie season, but we got ways to go. He's 19 years old.
Right. And Sean Couturier in his prime was one of the best two-way players in the NHL, but he just doesn't have the numbers to get in the Hall of Fame. Again, at his prime, very good player, especially in his own zone, great two-way guy, but it's not going to be enough to get into the Hall of Fame. Nick, let's just do it. Let's just get to the Penguins. Everyone knows Sidney Crosby is a lock for the Hall of Fame.
Correct.
Evgeny Malkin is a lock for the Hall of Fame. I saw all this weird discourse on Twitter last week comparing him to Joe Pavelski. I love Joe Pavelski.
It's July, brother. They're bored. But
like, come on, man. Like, Evgeny Malkin is a top 25
Malkin
player.
was the best player in the NHL for like 3 years in the early 2010s. Like during that period where Crosby was dealing with the concussions, Malkin was the best player in the league.
I think at worst, Evgeny Malkin right now is the second best Russian player to ever play in the NHL. You can argue Kucherov over him if you want to. Maybe have Malkin at 3, then you have Ovechkin at 1. To me, right now, it goes Ovechkin, Malkin, Kucherov. I think that's the way I see it, and you can put Fedorov, I think, at 4, in my opinion. But those two are locks. Erik Karlsson, Nick, people are not going to like this. He is a lock. I know.
Look at the resume. Look at the resume.
Yes. Look at the offense that he creates. Is he good in his own zone? No, he hasn't been.
He's got 3 Norris trophies. He's a lock. Trophies.
He doesn't have the Stanley Cup, but you know what? He has the individual success. He is going to get in. Okay, Chris Letang. In my humble opinion, I think eventually he is going to be a Hall of Famer.
He'll get in.
I think he should be a Hall of Famer. He has the team success, and this is why I think he should be a Hall of Famer. I look at someone like Shea Weber, who does not have any Norris trophies or any Stanley Cups. He got in, but he does have the international success, which plays a huge role. With Letang, he has the Stanley Cups. He doesn't have the individuals, even though I think he was robbed of the Conn Smythe in 2016. He was the best player in those playoffs for the Penguins. He doesn't have a Norris, though he has been very close to winning Norris. But he has the team accomplishments, and he has been a bona fide franchise defenseman for them throughout his career. It's not going to be right away, but eventually I do think Chris Letang makes it and gets in the Hall of Fame.
I think Chris Letang will get into. I think it's hard to distill his production away from some of the team stuff, but, it's a team sport, so you get credit for that. San Jose, Celebrini gets an honorable mention. Very nice rookie season, but these are children. They can't even buy alcohol.
Yes, we have to wait on a lot of these players. That's all I'm going to say on that. Seattle,
nobody.
No.
St. Louis, nobody. Tampa Bay, Kucherov, Hedman, Vasilevsky, all locks. And then I think Braden Point, if he stays healthy, has a good chance to get there too.
I think Braden Point is eventually going to get there, especially if he stays healthy. He's been outstanding in the playoffs. When he's healthy in the regular season, he's been great. I think by the end of his career, Nick, I think he is going to join the others as locks, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, the counting stats, especially in the playoffs for Point, are remarkable. Next up, Toronto, Austin Matthews, I think is a lock based on the trajectory. I think William Nylander is going to have a really good chance when all is said and done to get there. John Tavares, I could go either way on. I don't have a particularly passionate opinion. If you want him in the Hall, sure. If not, it doesn't really bother me. I don't feel like he was ever a top 5, top 10 player in the NHL, but the stats are decent. He's got a gold medal with Canada. He might sneak onto the Canadian team again next year based on the season he just had. He scored 38 goals as a 32, 33-year-old. He's having a really good career. I don't know if I would say John Tavares is a great player, but he's been a really good player for a long time.
Yeah, Austin Matthews is 100% getting in by the end of his career. Nylander will have a decent chance. Tavares, I think, is eventually going to get in. That is my prediction. I think the Hockey Hall of Fame will eventually put him in. It's just not going to be right away. I think he's going to have to fight for it for several years before getting in. But hey, if the Leafs are able to win a Stanley Cup before he retires, that makes things a lot easier. But without that, I still think he's going to get in, Nick, but it's going to take some time.
Oh, I agree with you 100% there. Next up, Utah, nobody.
No.
Vancouver, Quinn Hughes gets an honorable mention because he's on a very nice start to his career, but he's still young, so there's a lot of time. Elias Pettersson, if we had this conversation last year, I would have said yes, but after this past season, I'm going to say probably not.
Yeah, Quinn Hughes has the best chance. Elias Pettersson just has to get back to a level that we saw from him a couple seasons ago and have to actually play like that on a consistent basis if we want to talk about the Hall of Fame. Brock Besser, Connor Garland, anyone else, no, that's just not going to happen. Nope. Best chance, though, Quinn Hughes. If you want to throw Thatcher Demko in as an honorable mention at some point down the line, if he keeps playing really well, okay, but I still don't think he's going to make the Hall of Fame either. But, again, Quinn Hughes for me.
Oh, yeah, Quinn's having a really nice run of it, man. You know how good you have to be to have people seriously debating whether it should be you or Makar as the best defenseman in hockey based on the start to the career that Makar's had. All right, Vegas, I think Marner is yes. I think Pietrangelo is probably yes. I think Eichel will probably end up being yes. And I think Mark Stone will probably end up being yes.
Those are the four that really stood out to me. Eichel, he already has the team accomplishment now. He's already also one of the best two-way forwards in the league. He keeps us up for the rest of his career. He's going to be a lock.
He's still a young guy. He's still only 28. Like, he's got time to put up more stats and to win more.
And Marner, he already has produced so much throughout his career in Toronto. He now goes to, I think, a better team in Vegas. He wins a cup there. Oh, that's a lock. I mean, he probably already is a lock right now. Some Leafs fans are not going to like that statement.
Oh, no.
But he's going to be a Hockey Hall of Famer by the end of his career.
Oh, without question.
You said Stone, total psychopath, and then Pietrangelo, I know he's done playing. If you want to do an honorable mention, Nick, and put Shea Theodore in there, I won't stop you, but I don't think he's going to make it.
I think he's a Vegas legend. They'll retire his number, but I don't think he's Hockey Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, Washington is easy. Ovechkin and Backstrom, easy.
Yes.
As easy as it gets.
That's easy as it gets there. Some Caps fans may try to argue TJ Oshie. No, that's not a Hockey Hall of Famer.
If you wanted to argue John Carlson, maybe. I think that's an American Hockey Hall of Famer, not a Hockey Hall of Famer.
That one's going to be really close. I honestly wonder if the Hockey Hall of Fame will kind of treat it like the Chris Letang situation.
Yeah.
But Letang also has, more than one cup. Carlson, he's been great throughout his career. But also, Nick, like Letang, he's never won a Norris. Nope. So it gets a bit tough there. I think I'll make this prediction here. I think it's going to take a while, but I actually do think he might get in at some point. Would I do it? Probably not. I think I would put Letang in over Carlson, but that's also just my opinion. We'll have to see what they decide to do with him. But definitely Ovechkin and Backstrom, no questions asked.
We get to our last team, the Winnipeg Jets. Connor Hellebuck, lock.
Yes.
The Vezinos and a Hart Trophy as a goalie, lock. I don't think there's any argument there.
Yeah, 100%. Do you have Kyle Connor on a good trajectory right now?
I think he's an honorable mention. I think my big question for Kyle Connor is just, is he going to get to the benchmark stats? Is he going to get to 500 goals? Can he get to 1,000 points? He's 28 years old and he only has 284 goals. He's basically got to double his goal total into his mid to late 30s. It's not impossible, but he did just have his first 40-goal season this past year. So I think there's definitely work to be done there for him. Scheifele is weird because he's got good counting stats, but he doesn't have any individual stuff. He doesn't have any team stuff. He's probably not making Team Canada. He's going to end up breaking 1,000 points if he plays out the majority of that contract. But I feel like without any individual accomplishments or team awards or gold medals, I think he's going to have a tough go. Because he wasn't even on the World Cup of Hockey team because he was on Team North America.
That's right. Yeah, that's a good call. We do have to mention, though, Nick, remember, Winnipeg does have Jonathan Toews. That is a sure lock. Like, everyone knows that Jonathan Toews is a lock to get in the Hall of Fame, and that's not even close.
Yeah. So I agree with you there. Other than that, I think, real quick, we can do this because technically, Carey Price?
Ooh. I think eventually he is going to get in. Yes.
Yes. I think one of the great peaks, it just wasn't that long. That's kind of that's the trade-off there.
He was the best goaltender in the world for
2 or 3 years. Yeah.
During the early 2010s. Like, he was legitimately the best goaltender in the world during that time. Fell off a little bit, but still, Nick, I will say, during the bubble, late in his career, he had a resurgence there. That was the best I had seen him play since he was the best goaltender in the world. He was fantastic for the Canadians during that time, but I think he's going to get in.
All right. That'll do it for today's edition of Locked On NHL. By all means, let us know in the comments if you think we're stupid or if you think we're good at our jobs. Let us know. We'll be curious to see what you guys think. Be sure to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts or over on YouTube. Hunter and I will talk to you guys next Thursday.